Hi scrappy friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of doing our quick pages using the Creative Memories Fast2Fab album. I have to apologize, I put this project aside for a little bit to get some other projects done, and I haven't posted a video in quite a while, so I'm back. I'm excited to get some more pages done with you today, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so if you watched the last episode of the Fast2Fab album, it was a live presentation and I completed about 5 pages during that presentation. But what happened is I finished up the honeymoon portion of this album, and now I'm getting ready to jump into the second cruise we took, which was our 10-year anniversary. So this album, my original plan with this album was to include both cruises in the one album. This is the next page. The page right before this was the end of the honeymoon cruise, and then this is the next page. So this one will be the title page going into the 10-year anniversary cruise. And I'm going to save the title page and I'll come back and I'll do the first title page, which I also skipped, and this one probably in a video together. I'm kind of want to see what type of photos and memorabilia I have left at the end and kind of make a collage or something to start the beginning of the next chapter of the album. Okay, so when you open it up, I still have a couple more pages to do using the Serene Waters pages, and then I'll be jumping into the Tropic time. Okay, so this is our next 2 pages. I love it. I love the brightness of the orange, and let me grab my photos and we'll do some photo placement. So if you remember our steps, we had 4 steps, and the first one is photo placement. And so I always like to lay out the photos and decide how I'm going to lay them out on the page before I get started. This will be the first page, and here are some photos. These are, it's 10 years later now after that first cruise, and we have children now, and we were packing up and walked in and they were goofing around in the suitcases, hoping that they'd be able to stow away, but that did not happen. But they were having some fun. So I liked those photos, so I want to make sure that that gets put in the album as well. Then I also have postcards, again, just like I did with the first cruise. But I'm going to do the same idea and put these in a peekaboo pocket, be able to flip through all of them and not take up as much space in my album. Okay, that'll be page 1. Let me slide that down. Sorry about that glare. And I put these up like that because I am going to crop these down probably to like a 4x4. Then over here on the right hand page, I'm going to put this, I found this wonderful itinerary that spelled out the whole week and all the stops that we made and what day we made them. So I was really happy about that. So I could put them in order in the book, but I also love that it has a map too. So that was perfect. So I'm going to put that right up toward the top. And then I have some photos of us getting on board the ship, getting ready to set sail. And you know how they make you take a little class on how to get to your life preservers and lifeboat if needed. So thought that was kind of a fun picture of my husband. And then of course we're having some Bon Voyage cocktails. And that's how I'm going to lay out the photos on this next 2 pages. So our next step would be photo mats. And where are we going to put some photo mats? I know for sure I'm going to want to photo mat these photos. I'll put them on 1 strip of paper, and I'm going to bring in this cute, adorable, actually I'll use this blue side. I think it goes a little bit better. And I will mat these on top of here. Thought the little fishes are playful. For these, I'm going to bring in this vintage journaling mat, and it's a little bigger. It's a 6.5 by 4.5, and instead of putting them just like that, which looks really good also, but I'm going to scoot it over so that I can have part of it showing an area for journaling, and then the rest of it will be the mat around it. So I'm going to scoot this off to the side. These will be in a peekaboo pocket. That photo will be placed on top of the mat. Okay, and then I can do some journaling and maybe even a little embellishment cluster right down there. Then I want to bring in this blue to the other side, so I'll bring in a piece of blue cardstock and I will mat this itinerary. I'm also doing that because it is paper and I want to kind of lift it off my page so it doesn't damage any of my photos. And I think I'll use the same blue to mat this photo down here. I'm going to trim these down a little bit. I still want to make sure I'm getting the ship's smokestack and the city line behind, so I'm going to play with the size, probably see if I can do a 5 by 3.5 inches. So I'll crop those down, crop these down, and then mat here, 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 and here. Give me a moment, I'll get that done and I'll be right back. So I got everything matted like we talked about, except for this one over here. You'll see I left a little bit of space here. I wanted to give this one a little bit of treatment, and so I'm going to come back to that one. And on this one, I only adhered the one photo on. The rest are going to be in a peekaboo pocket, so I'm going to put those aside until later. And we're ready to go on to step number 3, which is adding layers. So when we go to add layers, we do that in different ways. Adding the paper is kind of adding a layer as well, but I'm going to do it with die cuts and punch outs and laser borders, and just kind of to add enough interest and texture to my page to, kick it up a notch. So I'm going to bring in these laser cut borders. I think that they're beautiful. I have a couple different options. I could put one on each side and make it look really nice and uniform. But what I really like to do is, since I have two, I kind of want to butt them right up next to each other on one side and just give it some kind of visual interest over here. I'm now bringing in the color green, so I'm happy about that. I can add another color to my layout here. And then for my next layer, I want to bring in my flag banner punch. This is such a fun, versatile punch that I thought it would be perfect. I want to represent, if you can see here, the ship has some banners on it. It's hard to see here if those are lights or banners, but I'm going to go with banner because on this postcard, which will be on the top here, you can really see the banners on there. So I thought I want to kind of represent that somehow. So I'm going to punch it out in red because this is getting a very nautical look to it, using a lot of blues and red. They have red in their smokestack. So I thought red would be a pretty nice addition. Okay, so we'll lay this right about here, right on top of our little itinerary. We have plenty of room down there at the bottom, and I might even cut off the last section and just hang it like that. Now I'm thinking I want to punch out another one in white because I'm trying to see what colors they have here, and it almost looks red, white, and blue. So I'm going to do white, and then possibly we'll add a little bit of blue. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now take both of these and I'm going to snip off just the star portion of it and adhere it right on top. So I'm just doing a little bit of layering, and just to give it a little bit more interest and excitement. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that, and I'll put you on fast forward and I'll be right back. Okay, while I was doing that, I did decide that I would like to add some blue. Why not? I think that it really needs a little pop of blue on our border as well. So once again, I'll put you on fast forward so you can follow along, but you don't have to painstakingly watch every minute of that. Okay, so hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, there we go. You probably noticed in the fast forward reel, I went ahead and I kept the fallout from the punch, and it punched out a nice assortment of red, white, and blue stars. So I went back and put the red stars back in just to add a little bit more decoration and layers to our punch. So sometimes when we're adding layers, we have to add layers upon layers, and that's what we did here on our border. I probably will be trimming off right there at the blue, so I probably did not need to add that last row, but that's okay. We can save it for something else maybe. I have my layers here and here, and now I want to continue adding a couple more layers. And so I am going to bring in some yellow, scoot this up, and this time I'm going to bring in my border making system, and I'm going to bring in the cartridge sunshine arches. I think that this arch looks very mechanical almost, so it could be used for like bridges, and in this case to represent parts of the ship. I just feel like it's nice railing type of look to it. So I want to bring in some more color over here, but I don't think I want to add any more red. So I'm going to try this dark yellow. Now this is an edge punch, so I need to trim it off. And I think what I'll do is I just needed a little piece, so I think I'll do it at 1 1/4 inches. So I line up the tippy top of the punch out, the pointiest part, at the 1 1/4 inch line. And my idea is to bring it right under here, again, just to add a little bit of texture to where my peekaboo pocket will be and my journaling. I'm just going to cut off 3. And then tuck it right under here to look like that. There we go. See, that just added a little bit more texture and dimension down there. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to carry the sunshine arches over here to this photo mat that I left opened on this side. So let me push that up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I cut this by 4 inches by 7 inches. I'm going to put this into the border making system right there at the bottom, and I'll do 2 punches, and there we go. So now I brought in the same texture and layer to both sides. Okay, now that is all for the layering. So now I'm going to get everything adhered down, and I'll be right back and we'll do some embellishing. Okay, hold on. Okay, there we go. Everything is adhered down, and our 4th and final step in our layout is to add some embellishing. Before we start that, I want to talk about my embellishment cluster base. The base gives a spot where you can gather all the embellishments together, and when I don't add a base, I feel like things are kind of floating out in space, and so this just kind of gives a home and somewhere where I can build my 3 cluster areas. Okay, so let's identify the cluster areas first. So I have two photos up at the top up here, but I feel like I have a lot of room right there. So I'll bring in one cluster up at the top. I left this area open for journaling, and then a cluster base right here. And then I want to make my triangle, so I'm gonna come up here. You could also, if you wanted to, come into your border right off to the side like that. But I'm gonna go up at the top up here. Bring in my embellishment tray. So I want to look at the die cut shapes that I put in here. And I've added a couple as I'm going through this process. So let me pull out a few here. So I want to, build up my embellishment clusters, but I don't want to go too crazy because my whole idea with this album was to keep it simple. And I do want to do that. So I have these different die cut shapes that I want to incorporate in. I want to bring in a star, because over here I have some stars. This is just a stitched die. And so this is what I do a lot as I kind of pre-plan like how big I want my embellishment or my cluster. So this star is going to be the base. Okay, I'm thinking right now I'm going to do it in blue to bring in some of the blue across the page. Then I also want to bring in this pointy shape. I love this pointed shape of this die cut, and I think it matches very well to the sunshine arches that I use down here. So I want to cut that out and put it right about there. And I'm thinking maybe of bringing in some orange, because I have the orange out here on the outside. I want to start incorporating some more of those colors from the border, the original border, into my layout. I'd like to bring this one in down here at the bottom. A scallopy edge kind of represents my scallopy edge here, and somewhat the scallopy edge on this cartridge punch out, and I'm going to put it right about there. And then I want to bring in another base up here. I wanted a banner because we have banners flying from the ship, so I probably cut something out from here, and it can even hang into the orange, so it'll go in there somewhere. And here I think I'll bring in some green. I have this green in my kit that I made, and I want to bring in some green because I brought green in over here. So let me go and get all of those punched out, and I'll be right back. I got them all cut out. We'll bring in our embellishment. So that's how I like to start all my clusters, is with bases. I love this fish. It's the right colors for this layout. It has the blue and a little bit of turquoise like we have over here. I could put him here. I do want to keep an eye on how much of my journaling I'm taking up. I have this from my stash, and it just says H2O. I like it because it's bringing in the green, and it's bringing it in down here. So I'm just going to put that down there with the fish. I like this one. It says let the waves roll in. Not the same kind of ship, but since we're getting ready to head out, then I think that's perfect. I do want to pop that up onto some foam tape. Okay, and we'll put that right up here. That's super cute. And then I have this yellow shell that came from my stash. I think that's super cute. Kind of helps to bring in some of the yellow that we have in our border. So I'm going to put that right there. And then up here, I do want to bring in some more elements from the color scheme that we're using. So I kind of want to bring in this one. Pull this out just a tad and put this right above like that. Okay, and then I actually have this yellow flower that's going to bring in some more of that yellow like we did on the other side. I'm going to tuck that right under there, and then I want to bring in this little crab. I think that's super cute. I'm going to pop this up onto some foam tape. So I'm lucky with this because I could just bring in any of the nautical elements, anything that's oceany, because it's all relating to a cruise. So I think it's perfect. I'm going to have the crab just slightly overhanging this edge of that banner so that it all looks like it's cohesive and goes together. Okay. And I think that's all I'm going to add as far as my main embellishments. I'm going to get this adhered down. I'll be back and we'll see if we want to add any finishing touches. Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, we're ready to wrap this up and add some finishing touches to this layout. I think what I want to do is add a little bit more color up here. So this is my last little octopus. So let's see. I think I'll put him, I want it touching the shell. There we go. I'll just tuck it under a little bit under the shell. That looks super cute. And then maybe a star over here. Again, I'm going to touch all the elements here, tuck the star under the crab, and that's what I'll put up there as my finishing touch. And sometimes you don't need finishing touches. This time I just wanted to add a couple little things to kind of bring it together. Down here maybe I'll add orange star, and that way I'm bringing orange into this cluster as well, because I'm kind of looking at all the colors I have, green and blue and orange and yellow in every cluster area, so that will help to bring in that color down there. And I think that's it. I'm going to call this one a wrap. I'm going to turn the page and we will begin the next layout. Let me clean all this up, get ready, and I'll be right back. Hold on, please. Okay, so let's start the next two pages. We'll start with our photo placement. And for this layout, I have a big photo, one of the cruise photos that they took. I like it. It's super cute. We look so young here. And it fits nicely on the page, so I don't think I'm going to crop that down at all. And then I have some random pictures of our room and some of the towel critters that they made for us. So I'll put these over here. Let's see, probably cut this one down and that one and put this one over there. And that's going to be my main page layout. I think for both of these I will cut those into 4x4s and maybe even trim these down to 5 by 3.5. This one I kind of like the full size as much as possible. Let's talk about matting. Where would I do some photo matting? I really like how the blue background is popping on these, so I don't think I want to mat too many of these at this point. Although I do want to bring in this yellow card. I had this from Painted Garden collection, and I think I'll mat this one, and I'll put it something like this. I'll trim this picture just slightly so that the yellow is popping through. So let me trim my photos, get this matted onto the card, and I'll be right back. Now that I got the photos trimmed and I matted this photo over here, I am ready to do some layering. So layering is the best place to bring in all of our fabulous punches that we have. So our border punches, border making cartridges, and even our standalone punches. So I wanted to show here, this is how I keep a sample of my border making cartridges and my border punches. Once I get them, I take a sample and I put it in the long fill and file page, and I could usually get 2 per section. And so I have them loose in here so that I could pull them out and lay them on my layout ahead of time to kind of see, like, do I like that one? Maybe I would like it at the top. And so this has really helped me to streamline my process, because sometimes it's hard to visualize, and then sometimes it's hard to visualize what it would look like in a 12-inch format on your layout. So there's 2 sides, so I can hold a total of 8 on one side, so a total of 16 per page. Now this has been the best system so far that I have found that makes it quick, easy, and doesn't get them all tangled up when I'm trying to sort for one. What I decided after looking through my file folders is I want to bring in my border making system, and the cartridge I'm going to use is the Camera Punch. It's a great punch for all kinds of layouts, but especially for travel. So I thought it's generic enough to go with these photos, and so let's give that a try. I'll punch out one. I'm going to do it in black because I feel like I can use black on this page because, well, it's a neutral, so it'll go with anything, but also because my photos are a little on the darker side. So we'll try black and see if it's what we want. Let me go ahead and scoot this out of the way. So I'll make one punch out. This is a chain border, so it'll fall completely off the page when we're done. And I think what I'll do is I just want it kind of running along the bottom, and I probably won't even go the whole way. Maybe I'll go half, so 3 inches. I'll snip it right in the halfway mark. I could always move that to the other page. Just a little something maybe right under that photo to kind of give it kind of a little bit of a shelf or a stopping place on our page. Okay, I like that. Now the next punch I want to bring in is my River Waves punch. I like this punch. It's kind of oceany, so I thought it would be perfect for this album. And I think what I want to do with this is just, use it for a little bit of an accent, which I believe is marine blue. And I'm just going to cut out one and see what I like. Okay, so I'm just going to put this up at the top. Probably going to take the last ripple and put it right over kind of there's like a seam between the darker blue and then the sky looking paper. I kind of want it to extend the blue a little bit. I love this background, but I want to focus more on the blue than I do on the sky, just because my photos are not outdoorsy. That's the only reason. So I thought that this would help to kind of bring in a little bit of texture. And yep, I love that. That just added a bunch of interest to my page here. So I'm going to put all these up here. I'm still not sure if I'm going to use these over here. Maybe I will. It doesn't have to be lined up with that one, but we'll see. Now what I want to do down here is I would like to bring in my tag punch and do something just a little different than I normally use my tag punch for. And I'm going to bring in a piece of 2-inch paper. So the tag punch can do a 2.5, a 2, and a 1 inch. I think I'm going to try the 2-inch first. I'm going to punch both ends and put it right over here. Then I'm going to bring in the 1 inch and do the same thing. Do both ends. And then I'm going to layer it up like that. And that's where I'm going to put the title of this page, which is just going to say Our Stateroom. So I'm going to get out some of my alphabet stickers and put on here Our Stateroom. And I like this look because I think it looks like a luggage tag, kind of. And since we're kind of just seeing our room for the first time or showing parts in our room, I thought that that would be a good representation of that. So let me get this adhered down, and I'm gonna get the photos adhered down. I like the placement so far. So I am gonna do that and I'll be right back. There we go. I adhered everything down, got my title onto the tag down here. I did make the tag a little shorter and a little narrower just so it would fit a little bit nicer. Okay, so now we've done our photo placement, our matting, the layering. Now we're on to embellishing. So super simple on this layout. First thing I want to do is I do want to bring in a little bit of yellow on this side of the layout because I have the mat over here. So I have this one piece of yellow left, and I think what I'll do is I will go and cut a little ribbon with my die cut machine using this die and then put it right up here. Here we go. So there, I'll put it just like that. And you see, just kind of brings in the yellow. My husband actually has a little bit of yellow on his shirt, so that's kind of fun and playful. For the embellishing, I'll bring in my tray. I just want to have a little bit of something, so I'm gonna go with just some flowers to kind of give it that tropical feel. I'll put in one of those leaves that I've been using so often, and I can repeat the same thing down here. And then get a little gold one. Let's see. We'll put a little gold one. Let's see, like this and like this. Could probably pop that up onto some foam. I can move it around a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So just a little something to decorate the page, nothing major. I have another one I can add over here. Let's get another foam. Let's see. There. I like that. And really, that's all I'm gonna do on this page. That one was super quick. And I think the longest thing took me to put the letters down on that page. I feel like I got my photos on and I have that texture with our punches just added so much. And I never did use the other cameras. Let's see if we want to add those in. We can fill up that little gap we had between those photos and the die cut. So yeah, I like it. Okay, well, let me adhere all that down and we'll start the next page, okay? Hold on and I'll be right back. Okay, so the next two pages, we've come to that crossroads that I've been waiting for, and that is where I am now finishing up the Serene Waters pages and starting with the Tropic Time pages over here. I love both of these pages, so I'm okay with now. I'm going to be changing the color tone and the style just a little, but that's okay. I think it's going to add to my overall feel of my album. But it's this page right here where I have to make a decision if I want to cover up the right-hand page with Serene Waters or cover up Serene Waters with Tropic Time. So as I was prepping for this page, I thought, oh, I've used a lot of Tropic Time. Let me see if I had any base pages made. And I did. So let me show you what I have. I had made this base page. This is the base page I made when I was using up the scraps of my collection. So I thought, well, let's see if we like it. So if I put it here, it's Tropic Time, but the background is from the Totally Tonal Tangerine, which I have been using throughout this whole project anyway. So I thought, let's just see. So if I line that one up, I feel like it kind of is more cohesive with the other side. Okay, there's obviously this big block of orange, which I'm gonna have to bring in some orange on this side to kind of make everything cohesive and blend together. I think I'm gonna try and see if I like this. Now, it's not very cruisy right here. When I made this, I think it was more of a garden kind of thing, but I do like the little title it has here, Life is a Beautiful Ride. I think that's perfect. I love the color choices. It says the best here. When I make base pages, I do try to make them as generic as possible for this exact reason. So let's pull out our photos and see what we're going to be working on. So I have photos from like the captain's midnight buffet or some kind of midnight buffet where it was all the pretty fruit and ice sculptures that were created. And then I have our formal dinner. I'll keep the formal dinner on this side. So this is a 6x4 area here. I could either keep the white or change out that background or just cover it up altogether. The same with this one. I have plenty of space to trim, so I will trim that and mat it with that green. I love that green, so why not? And then I'll put the beautiful ice sculpture of a swan. I will cut that. This is a 4x4. I will cut that to fit inside the 4x4. So I think that worked out perfect on that side. Let's see what I have here. I have a vertical, horizontal, horizontal, and vertical. Sometimes whenever I have a pre-done page on one side, I kind of see how I want my photos to lay out on the other. Since I have verticals, this is a real common layout for me. My verticals across the top and then my horizontals on the bottom, or the other way around. But I like it like this, so it's going to need some trimming because I probably want to see some space between it. And I still need to bring in that orange from the other side. So let's scoot this up just a bit. Sorry about that glare. And let's go through our scraps and see what we have as far as orange. Start with my scraps first, and then if need be, I can go to the full sheets. I think I have maybe one sheet of full sheets left from Serene Waters, but I still have some in my Totally Tonal pack as well. Okay, let's see. This one might be a little too dark. This one's a little dark as well. I do want some pattern paper also, I think. And what I like about it is the flowers on here do kind of look like the wildflower punch I used over there. So that might be a possibility. I could either mat right behind here, or I could mat across here to bring in some orange. Some of these are not going to be quite big enough for this page. We have a solid orange, which is pretty nice. So far I am leaning toward that one. This would be nice too. This is definitely from Serene Waters, but it matches so perfectly with the other page. Okay, that one, and the rest are not big enough. So let's see what we can do with this one. It looks like it's about a 6-inch, so I have lots of possibilities. I can come all the way to the top and do like a half and half. I could get these up into the turquoise area. I could bring it down and kind of have just a little bit of the palm leaves coming through. And excuse me if you hear my dog snoring in the background. She is in my scrap room with me today, and I guess she's very comfortable with me recording these days. So yeah, I would trim these down so I would have a little bit exposed like that. Just beautiful photos of the food that night. Yeah, I like it. So I just have to decide down here. So that's going to be my photo placement and my matting. I'll bring this in, and I might be bringing in a little something down at the bottom as far as layering. So let me get everything trimmed down. I'll go ahead and get these photos adhered. I'll get that page adhered down. I like it so far, and that was super easy using that base page. So hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, I got my photos adhered down. I went ahead and kept this one on the mat because it helped pop out that photo. And then up here, I went ahead and put it also on a white mat because it also kind of faded into the green background. So the white really helps out to pop that out. So I'm happy with that. This one I just trimmed the photo and it fit nicely onto that green mat, and I love it. So easy page, ready to move on to the next page. Over here I went ahead and put the orange strip right here. It wasn't cut evenly or nicely right there, but it's okay. I'm going to deal with it and just leave it. I don't think it's that big of a deal, and I don't think anyone will ever notice. Now, right down here, I kind of still have these photos. I trimmed them. This one I trimmed to a little, about 4.5 or so by 4, it looks like. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to do here, because while I was away, I pulled out my scrap folders. So I do keep some of my paper aside and little scraps here and there. So I thought, let me just see if for some reason I kept any of this Tropic Time paper. So in my folders, I found, I can't believe this either, but I found this strip that matches that, and it has like a little wavy cut, so I like that. And I found one nice piece. It's about a 3.5 by 4 inch piece of the green fern paper. So I'm so happy about that, because now we're going to get into our layering. So I really want to bring this piece in, and I could either put it up here under the orange. I don't even have to keep the wave on there if I don't want to. And I was trying it up there, but I also wanted to try it down here at the bottom, so that I have just a little bit of the fern leaves sticking out the top and the bottom. And if I put my photos back on, I would butt this one way up to the edge. I want some of the turquoise exposed because I want to bring in from that other page. Now right here's where I have the one little problem, because I don't want too much of the blue showing through right there, so I don't want to butt them up close to each other either. So I'm just going to leave a tiny little spot there just so that you can see the separation of the photos and not so much of the pattern paper behind. So I do like the wave down here, even though I don't have any waves on this side. I think by adding that layer and that wave brings in a little bit of texture and kind of draws your eye so that you could tell that the piece is, you know, meant to be, right? And I have this one piece left. I'm kind of playing with the idea of putting it right over here so that I can transition all of those pages. I think what I'll do is I'll bring in the Ancient Key border making cartridge, and let's move that up. Let's give it a little punch to kind of represent what we did over here. I'll put it going that direction. Let's see what we get. So over here, I backed it with a little strip of dark navy blue. So I think I'll do that again. It really helps to pop out the punch out from the Ancient Key. Have it coming, I can even tuck it under, have it coming out just like that. That would make an excellent spot for a embellishment cluster. Okay, I don't need a journaling box. I have one up there. As I'm looking at this now, I'm just loving how the yellow flowers on my base page are really standing out with the yellow fruit that are in these photos. It's really coming together nicely. That's going to be my layering. I don't have to do much because that one page was already done for me. So let me adhere down this area right here, and I'll be back and we will get this page embellished. There's really only one spot for it, so it should be relatively easy. Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, so we're ready to embellish, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to ask you that if you're enjoying this video and this series, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up. It really helps to spread my content throughout YouTube. I feel like we've gained a few new subscribers by doing this Fast2Fab album, and so many of you are actually working on your Fast2Fab album and are following along. So I really thank you all for joining me on this journey, and thank you for giving me the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. So okay, let's get to embellishing. It's going to be very easy for this page because we only have this one spot. It's very photo heavy, so I don't want to take away from the photos I want to look at these beautiful pieces of art made out of food. What are we going to do here? Well, I want to look and see what I did on the other page again to tie that in. And what I used here was the stickers from the Totally Tonal Tangerine and the Totally Tonal Baby Blue. So I'm going to bring in those to see if I can find anything that I like. I want to do blue first and then maybe top it with orange. So there's a lot of great pieces on this sheet that we can tuck and use for our layout. So I like this one because it's a star. There's a little bit of stars there, but also because we are on a cruise and I just feel like there were lots of stars around. So let me pop up this part. There we go, just to loosen that up. I think before I had tucked this under, it's gonna go like that. I want something to cover that seam. So over here I use the Wildflower Punch, and that is the Leafy Vine. So let me put that one aside for a minute. I'm gonna pull in my leaf box. If you haven't seen this before, I use the Creative Memories 5x7 case, and sometimes when I have scrap paper, look, here's some more of this fern paper. So when I have small pieces before discarding it, if it's green, I'm probably making leaves out of it. It'd be nice if I had this same print. Don't know if I do. I have something very similar. I do want it, whatever I choose, to be darker than the fern paper. And here's another piece of that fern paper. So yeah, I must have had a good size piece that I didn't want to put in my scrap bin. Okay, so yeah, I just kind of thumb through here and see what I have. Sometimes I put stickers in here, sometimes I put die cuts. It really depends, and I'm not really seeing anything that would be that same color. Sometimes I do brown also. I think we have a lot of brown leaves in nature, so occasionally I'll put a brown in here. Let's see, because that's the same punch. So I guess paper doesn't matter as much as having that same punch. So let's see if we can get this one to work. I have a longer one if I need to. So pick that up just a bit. I'll slide it under, and there we go. Now I can cover up that seam, and it's not anything too drastic. It just covers that seam and gives it a little bit more texture down there. Okay, now let's take this one and layer it. There we go. So yeah, we don't even see much of the leaves, just a little bit sticking out. Then I want to bring in something from the orange stickers. I think you're the sweetest thing. Cheers. Wow, a lot of these would work. Let's go ahead and use So Fun. I'm gonna pop that up onto some foam tape. I like that. Okay, I do want to see about bringing in some final touches while we're here and we only have this one area that we're working on. We used some turquoise here. That might be a good idea. Let's do it. Let's bring in some turquoise bling over here. Tuck it right. I like to tuck these bigger ones under so that kind of gives the representation that they're actually smaller. Because these are kind of big for my taste, but I like to use them. Just wondering if I want another one. No, maybe up here. Okay, so one last thing I want to bring in, just a little something right over here. I feel like it's missing something. So I'm going to bring in an anchor and just kind of lay it right here, kind of making it super close to the corner of the square, just to give the illusion that it's touching so that everything seems to be combined and one unit. So just a little something down there. We're on a ship. An anchor is always a great idea, right? And that's it. I like it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time fussing down there like we already talked about. I just kind of wanted to bring in some of the elements that I used on that base page so that everything ties in. That's it. That's where I'm going to stop for today. Thank Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This page, I really do feel like I cheated, but it came out, I like it. It's going to be a great transition into the rest of the album pages, and it should just flow super nicely. So I'm going to clean this up and I'll get ready for the next video. So until next time, everybody, take care and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. And if you're looking for more videos, here's the playlist for this series, as well as some other videos you may like.